Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. 7 ways to be teammates in marriage. Today, this continues from some other thoughts that I had in the previous video. So today let's talk about 7 ways to be winning teammates in marriage. I married a woman from the Philippines in 2015, and some say we are a good couple. We'll talk about some reasons why that is. Being good teammates takes intentionality. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea or Casting Beyond the Sea for podcasts that will help you know how to have a good marriage to, I think, any woman, and I've experienced with a woman from the Philippines. Comments are always encouraged. I don't know why I rarely get them. If I'm wrong about something, just let me know. I won't shoot. I'm here to help. Let's start with support and encourage. How to be be good teammates in marriage. Support and encourage. My wife, she's less verbal than I am. She always says I talk too much. But this can be a way for me to offer her encouragement when I see it's needed. I encourage by saying things, being aware of her good qualities, pointing them out to her. My wife, on the other hand, is more likely to encourage by just being there for me and being consistent day to day, and I appreciate that. Support and encouragement is needed when she immigrates to the foreigner's country. She'll need a lot of it. Even after the relationship is established or they've been together a few years, nothing must be taken for granted. It would be great if we always tried to outdo each other in being good to each other, but that isn't always realistic. There will be times one will need extra attention paid to them. It's never going to be 50-50. I consider later on in my life, since I am older than she is, needing a lot of caregiving from her. If she wanted to have a 50-50 marriage, she could have just married under different circumstances to begin with. I can help my wife by building her up, by accentuating the positive things about her, by making her feel good about herself, by encouraging her to not try to do more than she is capable of doing, to help her prevent getting burned out. They rely on her a lot at work. She is going to college now too. Wow, what an amazing woman. She needs my encouragement. Also, make sure it's team before self. You've probably heard, be all that you can be. Have it your way. These can't be slogans for a good foreigner and Filipina marriage. Being married means sacrificing whatever it takes for the good of the marriage to win. This will either appeal to someone or will repel them. The team player wants to be part of something bigger than himself and will endure and is willing to experience pain to achieve success. We see this very clearly in a Filipina going across the world, thousands of miles away, to marry a man she probably doesn't know all that well in order to send money back home. That's a big reason, but she still wants a good husband. She still wants to be a good wife, of course. She's making a rather large sacrifice, all things considered. I could have resigned myself to stay single since after 30 years, don't laugh, 30 years of searching, I had been unsuccessful, but was willing to make some sacrifices and concessions. This part is extremely difficult for the person who has a lot of individual goals for their life and isn't willing to sacrifice them for the good of the relationship if need be. I could have stayed single, maybe retired financially comfortable, but not at the expense of being alone. I don't mind parting with money if it can meet needs that my wife has. You can't take it with you. If you desire marital unity, be a giver. Sacrifice for her. You will be leading her to see the importance of being a team player. And being willing to retire in the Philippines with my wife or for my wife is something we've kicked around in the past. Some might be tempted to say that the benefits in our kind of marriage favors the Filipina, but they don't realize the value she brings to me. I am helping her in ways she needs. She is helping me in ways that I need, but we are never to insist on our rights in marriage. I think you relinquish that when you get married for the good of the marriage. In sports, sometimes very talented players have to play a supporting role, not a leading role, for the team to have its best success. What they want isn't as important as helping the team in any way they can. Sometimes a very talented player can actually keep the team from reaching its potential because they're more focused on their own success than doing what is necessary for the team to win, which is like my next point. Don't underachieve as a team. Doing the things I'm listing here will help us not underachieve. There are teams that you think would be more successful with all the talent they have, but they get beaten by teams with less talent. It's so frustrating. It might be that they aren't trying as hard as they should. Might be certain players trying to do too much or trying to do things they aren't very good at. Maybe they just aren't listening to the coaches. Maybe the coaches aren't flexible or are resistant, to changing up what they've always done or listening to other people, other coaches. Maybe the players' focus is somewhere else. It could be the team lacks the right game plan. It takes a lot of things to do well, which is essentially what I want this channel, Love Beyond the Sea, to help with. The foreigner in the Filipina will bring incompatibilities into the relationship. So adjustments will be needed to be made in order to function in a unified way. Let's talk about shared decision making. Got to share it. A dictatorship won't cut it. A woman's intuition is needed by her husband in making decisions. Just having another perspective can help avoid making bad choices. If I were to insist on making all the decisions, my wife wouldn't feel like her opinion mattered. In high-level football, the head coach hires an offensive and defensive coordinator to help them make the right decisions. Not only should I make large decisions together with my wife, but I need to be open to counsel from someone I trust so that I make or agree to making decisions for the good of the team. Regardless, at the end of the day, I am responsible. I got to, do whatever is necessary, even if I have to, eat humble pie to make sure we make the right decisions. Also, another big one here: know your role. To be good teammates in your marriage, should know your role. This is a big one. These points have been in no particular order. My role as a Christian husband is to be my wife's servant leader. I lead by serving her. This is Christ's example by virtue of his life. That doesn't mean I am her slave. Christ is certainly not the slave of his bride, the church, yet he serves her to the nth degree. He said he did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. Ephesians 5:23 says the husband is the head of the wife as Christ is the head of the church. 1 Corinthians 11:3 says the head of the woman is the man. In short, I am responsible for my wife's well-being, and I am to stop at nothing to meet her needs. That's a very satisfying role, by the way. Marriage is a picture of Christ in the church. That's why I know that by being a servant leader of my wife, she will respond to that love with love of her own. In sports, I liken it to a basketball point guard who is the leader of the offense, but whose main job is not to score points. It is to get the ball to other players to score. He can score too, but that's not his primary role, which is to make the team better. A point guard needs to be a mature and unselfish player who wants to win. Another thing here is don't point fingers. It's easy to blame each other when things go wrong, but how helpful is that? We know when we screw up. Admit when you've done wrong and show grace to your wife when she's done wrong. Forgive and try to make up quickly. If there is a serious problem, it's still best to try to resolve it without blaming, and instead try to look for a solution. And then don't be critical. Don't be critical. I've talked about this quite a few times. This is the last way I will mention to help teamwork is by not being critical. You can't fix your partner. You can't change their personality. You're not going to change their quirks. You're not going to change their past either. Being critical can cause the Filipina to figure, why even try anymore to please her husband? Criticism tends to tear down. Praise, however, tends to build up. And I will link a video I made about how to praise your Filipino wife in the description box. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I am part of a team with my love beyond the sea.